Well. What's going on, Stefanos?
Oh, nothing too much. It's been actually quite the boring day today for once.
What are you drinking tonight? Cheers.
Maybe this will make it a little bit more exciting this evening. Cheers.
Cheers.
Hola Hashem.
What do we? So we got Dr. Gurgis coming in about a minute. I met him down here. I was surprised I could see him down here.
So you're all having a big party down there, huh? Didn't invite me? What's going on?
You could have come. I told you I was coming down.
Dang.
Anyways, what's new and exciting up in Canada?
Communism, and more communism. So they pushed C9 through. So that's the end of that.
Wait, it still has to go through. It hasn't received royal assent yet, and it still has to go.
It will not stop. Trust me. Anything that passes second reading, look at it. You'll see as soon as it hits third, it gets royal assent, and that's it. It's done. So that's how the norm is. That's how it's done. And even something worse though than C9, we now have C22 that was introduced. So even worse.
What way?
Oh, you name it. And nothing will be secure. Internet, phones, no needs for warrants on anything. It's bad. It's full-blown communism here now. So time to get out or get in the trenches. Take your pick. But it's not worth being here. That's for sure.
Why am I coming back next week?
Don't.
Yeah, oh man. Anyways, medical system is doing it's alive and well in Canada, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, sure. If you like anywhere from 8 to 15, 20 hours wait time and get shitty service, sure. It's great that way.
That's why it's one of the things we're going to talk about with Dr. Gurgis when we bring him in shortly.
Yeah, well, remember, Ed, at the beginning of COVID, I think it was right at the end of 2019, right when they declared everybody, the scamdemic and stuff. Doug Ford fired 30,000 healthcare workers. All right. And then they started declaring that the hospitals, too packed and everything. I was in the hospital. Remember, my appendix, I had to get it out. Place was empty. It was empty. There was no packed and all of this garbage. It was just all BS. I had no problem. Huh?
Me, Kevin, and Kelly went to Mississauga where they said it was crisis. There was nobody there.
Yeah, I remember that. And then they wanted to take Kevin out. I think they put wanted posters or something for him. But, and now they just shit canned a whole bunch of more workers. They've closed down tons of emergency rooms. Hospitals are going goodbye. So who's creating, and the excuse of the government is we have an aging population. So it went from scamdemic to aging population, and the hospitals can't handle it because they're so full. But actual light, it's the Ford government, the PC Party of Ontario, who's created this crisis because they've been firing everybody and closing all the emergency rooms and everything else. So welcome to China.
Well, oh man, I just messed up my screen here. Oh, what happened? Oh boy.
Now you've done it.
Oh boy, now
what did you do?
I don't know what I did. Oh, there we go. All right, back to normal. Okay, so let's bring in Dr. Gurgis, see what he's got to say about the medical system in Mexico. We can discuss various treatments, cost, pricing, give you guys any idea of what's going on. And quite frankly, we pay a lot of tax money that goes to our medical system. We're just not getting the services. And it seems universal health care is the biggest rip-off ever. Any comments on that one?
Did you call it universal health care? You mean
that's what they
free
call it.
Free health care? That's really not that free anymore because you got to pay for a lot of things nowadays.
Yep. I'll get into that later.
Communist health care. Come on, that's the proper term.
Yeah. All right, Dr. Gurgis, ready to come in? I think he's nodding. Come on into the lounge. I'm gonna switch places if I can. Welcome to the lounge. And for those of you that don't remember Dr. Gurgis, EMAD was one of the early people that was standing up against this COVID lie back in 2021, I believe. At the protests, I first heard of him in Barrie. And then he came to speak a few times in Toronto at the bigger rallies. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Ed, for the invitation. It was a rather impromptu invite when I was pleasantly surprised to see that you're in Puerto Vallarta. You just reached out. You said, by the way, I'm here, like literally down the road. I was like, welcome to Puerto Vallarta.
Thanks.
You may not want to go back to Canada once you taste the sun and the ocean here.
Yeah, it is quite nice, actually.
I don't know, Doctor. There's somebody up on the screen that says you took their gallbladder out about 15 years ago.
On purpose?
Oh, yeah. So, hi, Kathy. Of course, yeah, she's a precious friend of mine and was a former patient as well. So she did very well with her gallbladder surgery. Thanks, Kathy. Good to see you on here.
So what's the status on medical care in Mexico?
Well, Ed, to be honest, I was quite shocked at how amazing the healthcare system is here in Mexico. Sometimes in your mind you have stereotypes. That's Mexico is a second world, third world country, and healthcare is going to be struggling. But right away, within the first few weeks, I realized that the healthcare system is extremely advanced here, particularly the private system. And I'll just give you one example of many. And that is access to services. Patients can literally get an MRI and a CT the same day. If their doctor wants them to get an MRI, he doesn't have to go begging. He doesn't have to put them on an 18-month wait list. They get the MRI the same day and the report the same day. That to me was absolutely stunning. So that was the first thing, was access to services such as X-ray and lab was immediate. The second thing is the efficiency of the emergency department here. I mean, the emergency department is meticulously clean. I mean, literally, like the floors are shining. It's so clean. And you don't have that chaos that you see in Canada in the emergency department with loads of people waiting, people coughing, people in stretchers in the hallway, people waiting for beds for 2 or 3 days. You don't see any of that here. Like literally, you come in, there's nobody in the waiting room. They bring the people in right away. They triage them right away. And if they need to see a specialist, they'll see a specialist usually within an hour, as long as he's not in surgery. So I was extremely impressed by the excellence and quality of the healthcare here. And Canadians that have come here, Americans that have come here have felt the same. Just remarkable, outstanding, advanced, state-of-the-art healthcare.
Okay, hang on a second. So triage, when you go into an emergency department, once upon a time in Canada, within a minute, a nurse would be talking to you, saying, okay, who are you? What's going on? And they'd figure out if it's like a minute life-threatening or hour life-threatening, or if they can wait a couple hours.
Correct.
The last time I was in a hospital, I stood in the triage line for over an hour in agony. That wasn't too long ago. It was about 4 years ago during COVID. So, yeah. And you say in Mexico, you get seen within minutes?
Yeah, literally. Like there was a Canadian that just posted the other day. She went into one of the hospitals in Nuevo Vallarta, and she actually posted a video of it. There was nobody in the waiting room. Her husband had a soft tissue injury of the leg. They brought him in right away within 10 minutes. He was seen. He had X-rays. He had the doctor see him. All the evaluation, lab work, X-rays were all done within an hour. And she left like within an hour. And I think she only ended up paying somewhere around $270 for that visit. Private hospital, state-of-the-art, incredible service. You would never see that in an Ontario hospital. I mean, I'm going to go as far as saying it's actually a shame, the kind of healthcare that's provided in Canada. Now, I think there's an exception. If your life or your limb is imminently threatened, usually you'll get in right away. Like if you come in semi-conscious, unconscious, severe chest pain with a bone sticking out of your skin, like you'll get in pretty quickly. But unless you literally have your life or your limb threatened, you're going to be waiting for probably for hours and hours and hours.
Can I tell you my nightmare with my appendix?
Yeah.
I went in
First of all, what year was this, Stefanos?
2022, I believe. I went in around noon with severe pain. I go to triage. Nobody in there, not a soul. Made me wait 2 hours, 3 hours. Get in. They take my vitals, all the stuff they do, ask me a couple questions. And I told them at that point, I'm pretty sure it's my appendix. And they didn't say anything. Sent me back out, waiting. Put me in a room, waiting. Then they wanted to do nothing but let me lay there. So I just laid there. Remember, I ate nothing. I done nothing. No x-rays, no nothing.
Wow.
Then about 4 a.m, doctor comes in and says, "Hey, we're gonna send you up for an MRI." And while I was waiting for this stuff to happen all day from noon, all the patients that were coming in, you could hear all the doctors talking to them and everything. None of the doors are closed, so everybody can hear everybody's stuff. All of them were all clots in the lungs or the legs. Every single one in the whole day was crazy.
Wow.
So I go up for MRI, come back down. About 2 hours later, they say, "Oh, we found out why," because they're saying, "Oh, all your vitals are normal. Everything you're explaining is normal. So we don't know why you're in so much pain." And I'm like, "Really?" And so then he comes in, right? Says, "We found the problem." I said, "What's that?" He says, "Your appendix." I said, "Oh, yeah. If you would have listened to me at noon, we would have been done." So then they freaking and then there was absolutely no reason for me to have to wait that long. So they told me that and remember, I didn't have a drink of water when I asked for one. They said, "No, I can't." So like the whole day and night. So they turn around, they freaking said at noon we'll have a transfer and you're gonna have to go up to that Hamilton hospital. So I'm like, all right. So noon rolls along, nothing around.
This is the next day.
Yeah, this is the next day. So around 2:30 in the afternoon, finally patient transfer came, picked me up, took me to the hospital. I stayed there in that hospital for 4 days with no treatment, no food, no water. On the 5th day, they took a bunch of IVs and stuck them into me. The doctor kept trying to make me wear a mask and take a COVID shot, and I kept telling him, "Nope, not happening." And then they hang a thing saying there's a HEPA filter. It's just curtains, and there's 8 people in the room. What HEPA filter? So, and I'm supposedly in quarantine to boot. So I was just the whole day, every day, I was just going out, having smokes, come back, I'm taking my IV with me. And then they give me like 3 or 4, antibiotics suddenly. And then they're like, "Oh, you got your blood pressure is a bit high. We want to give you a, what do they call those stupid, the rat poison shot.
Coumadin? Heparin? Coumadin?
One of the ones for blood pressure. So they're saying my blood pressure's going up. I got a slight fever, all this kind of garbage. And so I just refused everything as usual. And then finally, on the 8th day, I got in the morning, and they done the operation. And I got out of the hospital around 5 o'clock. And they had student doctors trying to take the stupid drain out, and they didn't know how to take the stitches out, and then it was a shit show. So And then finally I get home. Well, my first follow-up visit with my family doctor, unbeknownst to me, my appendix had ruptured the day that I had gone in at noon. The very first day, it had ruptured. And I said, when the heck did that happen? Because nobody told me anything. And they told me it's right on the x-ray. You can see it's ruptured. So it would have been at like 4 in the morning when they done that MRI. And that's when it was ruptured. So that's my shit show. My lawyer wanted me to sue them, but I said that, the hell with it.
So Stefanos, you're saying that they had radiographic evidence of a ruptured appendix and ended up still waiting 4 days for the surgery?
I was 8 days.
8 days. So
on the 8th day, I went into surgery in the morning and came out at noon around, or I mean in the evening around 5 o'clock.
You know, to say that substandard care would be the understatement of the year. That's horrible.
Oh, it was horrible. And absolute filthy conditions in that hospital. The bathrooms, they were just filthy. The floors, you name it.
Yeah, you know, this is one of the reasons, one of the many reasons the Canadian population at large is starting to really lose trust in organized medicine. Just personal experience. Like you have the politicians and the hospital administrators saying how excellent it is, how it's one of the best healthcare system in the world. You know, and that may have worked for a while, like before social media, before people woke up and started doing their own research, their own investigations, and before people started to discover that much of organized medicine is built on fraud, conflicts of interest with big pharma profit being the driving force, not quality of care. People are turning to other options, and they're losing trust in their doctor. And like Stefanos, your experience is an example. That's like worse than third world. You probably get better care somewhere in Africa. You'd get in quicker for your surgery. And you know what's interesting? I should also mention that Maclean's magazine just recently did a study looking at human healthcare compared to animal healthcare in Canada, and I'm sure you can guess which one was superior in every single metric. Animal care, veterinarian care, was superior to animal care in Canada in every single metric that they measured, including wait times, access to specialists, access to surgery, access to critical healthcare. And so I think that says a lot when you say, like, if you're a dog in Canada, you're going to get better healthcare than if you're a human.
Oh, I took mine in, a couple months ago, and it was like instant. I didn't even have to wait a day to take her in, and she was all checked up, looked after within seconds. I was like, wow.
Yeah, and I think people, they used to listen to these sound bites, what politicians use about how amazing the healthcare system is, but people are smart now. Like not everybody, but more and more people are doing their own research, and they're not listening to those sound bites. They're not convinced anymore, particularly after the COVID scam and the blatant fraud that people discovered. The trust in organized medicine took a huge fall.
Yeah, well, being a politician myself, unfortunately, but for the Ontario Libertarian Party, which is very fortunate, I've seen this go downhill so fast. And I remember when Ford first got in, I think it was a couple of months after he came up with this great big article that they had created one extra hospital bed at some hospital. And they were treating it like they just won a lottery. I was like, what in the actual heck? One bed. I just seen Sam Oosterhoff in the riding where I run against him. I think it was 70-something million, and they created 9 jobs in Waynfleet. Are you freaking kidding me? The amount of money you need just for 9 jobs? But you're absolutely right. But they've destroyed that system themselves, and they keep sending more money. Like, these guys don't even know themselves, the politicians themselves. We had a debate with Oosterhoff and Joe Kinney, the liberal guy. The other two couldn't do it because they were only kids. But even Usserhoff and them, they didn't even know. Like I had, it was like $32 million were going into healthcare, but it was going to the LINs. And the LINs, it was nothing to do with healthcare. All this money was going into them so they could hire more people to answer phones. And, they are told at the LINs not to answer the phone, sometimes a week at a time, in order to make it sound like they're busy so they can milk some more money out of the government. So we're not getting health care. We're getting money care for the government themselves, or what they're milking us for.
So, do they have the maids program in Mexico?
No, there is no physician-assisted suicide here that I'm aware of. Certainly, it's if it is there, I haven't discovered it, and it's very low key. Canada, as I think most of the listeners know by now, has the number one per capita rate of physician executions, I call it, for patients, and the threshold keeps getting lower and lower, so that people who are feeling depressed or anxious can now qualify for very rapid medically assisted suicide, or physician execution is what I call it. They're trying to make it available for children. They're working very hard. The government's working very hard to romanticize it with commercials, with orchestra music in the background, saying that it's just so wonderful, this experience of having a doctor kill you. But it's again a constant decline in ethics and quality of healthcare. I mean, we don't want to be too negative, but we have to be also realistic at the same time. I mean, if somebody's got metastatic cancer, like you can't paint a pretty picture. You got to face reality. Like, we're in trouble. Like, we've got a healthcare system that's failing. We've got burnt out physicians, burnt out nurses, and people, frankly, if they have the resources, like they're giving up and they're going for different types of treatment. We'll get into that. They're getting into more treatments that align with the natural body's design and natural body's healing, as opposed to compete with it.
So, I was going to ask you if you heard what's happened to Dr. Makis. They want to
Yes.
throw him in jail again.
Yeah, he's been getting a lot of persecution because he's
Saving
found
lives.
effective. Exactly, he's found effective treatments, and they're competing with big pharma profit. Chemotherapy, radiation is a $1 trillion industry, and in my 30 years of experience as a general surgeon dealing with a lot of cancers, I can say this with quite frankness, I have not seen one patient cured with chemotherapy, especially stage 3 and stage 4. Now, there are some rare cancers like lymphoma that can respond to chemo quite well, but the vast majority of them, they just make things worse. They make people sicker. They have collateral damage on the bone marrow and the whole immune cell line. They, of course, destroy hair follicles, any cells that are multiplying. There's just massive collateral damage, and it very rarely results in a cure. But again, it's a $1 trillion industry, largely driven by profit.
So I got one question. What's the difference between maids and Dr. Kevorkian?
I think if Dr. Kevorkian was alive today, he would be fully accepted in Canadian society. He would be probably a hero to the politicians pushing MAID.
Yeah, so here's an interesting story for you. There was a person that I know of that called maids and told them that they couldn't afford to feed their family anymore, so they wanted maids. So they asked a couple of questions. The first lady that was speaking, she was all giggles and happy and, laughing along. Second lady said that, okay, we're going to go and you'll be hearing from us soon. And this is at night. Like, these guys go, I don't know, are they like 24 hours? Because this was at night, like around 8 or 9 o'clock at night. And then the next day they started calling at 9. So now it's been daily since about a week ago or so. It's been daily. They will call 3 times a day, 9 o'clock in the morning, about 12:45 in the afternoon, and then about 4:30 in the evening. Every single day pushing for the maids, the maids, the maids. And imagine, this is somebody who said they could not afford to feed their family anymore. This isn't somebody who's got metastatic cancer or anything like that, like death is imminent. That's the crazy thing. That's like insane that they allow that.
Yeah, it's very disturbing, and how it's being so freely offered to people that are homeless, people that are like veterinarian disabled, vets, not veterinarians, but veterans that are disabled are being offered MAID. People with vaccine injuries are being offered MAID as well, like with major vaccine injuries. Like you say, like, you know what? We told you it was safe and effective. Well, so sad for you. It wasn't safe, but we can offer you MAID and kill you. Um, it's so disturbing. The decline in ethics in organized medicine is just at an all-time low, and it just keeps deteriorating. Now we there's a group of us that really were trying to practice like ethical medicine. Now they didn't make us do the Hippocratic Oath in med school. They've kind of taken that out because you really can't practice medicine if you actually believe in the sanctity of life, because you would be performing like abortion, which kills human beings. You'd be performing physician-assisted suicide. And if you don't agree with those ethically, the college mandates that you refer them to somebody that will do it. So what's the difference? I mean, if you're an accomplice to an abortion or euthanasia, you're still participating in the process. But the college can actually discipline you if you refuse based on conscience. And we in 1983, I believe it was, when they decriminalized abortion, and they made it basically abortion on demand instead of having some protection for the unborn. We there's a group of us that were involved in a Bible study and studies on ethics, and we predicted that it's just a matter of time before the other end of the scale of human life will be attacked. And here we are. That's pretty much what we predicted, because once you loosen up on valuing God's creation, the sanctity of life, then anyone is a target. Like all the lines are now blurred, and we can see this, right? Like you start off and say, "Oh no, we're going to protect children from MAID, and we're going to protect people that are depressed." From no, you're not. You're just delaying what you're planning to do anyway, and it's such an atrocious breach of ethics, and we just see this all over organized medicine, to the point where, honestly, if you are ethical and you have deep conscience, you cannot follow the dictates of the college and still have a clear conscience. You've got to either look the other way and just pretend you don't know, or you leave. I mean,
So they're forcing you to commit murder.
They're basically coercing you to either do it, participate in, or refer to somebody that will, or you'll be disciplined.
I wonder if that's illegal according to the Criminal Code of Canada, Stefanos.
No. Criminal Code of Canada gives doctors immunity. Actually, if you're even in the hospital and the doctor decides, you got no chance of a quality of life, they can actually euthanize you, and the Criminal Code clears them of that. Way I look at things is, and I keep going back to Dr. Kevorkian, because to me there's no difference. The only difference is that you got a criminal organization called the government, and they liked what he was on to, and they figured we're going to muscle in on his territory, and they're going to do it because they're the government, so they're going to get paid for it. And this Kevorkian, if his estate is alive, I think there should be lawsuits on Canada for patent infringement because he came up with that idea. Lots of crazy things, but I think that's what they should go and do. But I can't believe the state that we're in right now, and what they've done to the medical system, and how they mistreat the doctors that won't go along with the narrative.
I remember when I was a kid in the late 60s, 6-year-old broken leg, in and out, less than 2 hours.
Wow.
Past everything.
Ed and Stefanos, I'm following some of the comments here. One comment by Laura. She was in a hospital recently. She said, "Don't leave your loved ones alone, because after visiting hours, they come in pairs asking people if they would like to have maid."
Well, I can tell you another experience that I had, not personally, but personally through the person's family. And I'm going to name the hospital, Welland Hospital. Don't leave anyone unattended there. The guy went in, he had a little bit difficulty breathing. They kept trying to give him remdesivir. They told the doctors or the nurses not to give him that. And they left. They came back. They had remdesivir in him. She grabbed it, pulled it right out, told him, "I told you not to." Next day, his condition kept worsening. Next day, they had him strapped to the bed with nobody there, which is not allowed. And then they had him naked, strapped to a wheelchair, tied to a wheelchair, stuck out in the hallway, and had a table tilted sideways so he could rest his head on, and had left him there unattended again. Eventually, he passed away. They tried to say it was COVID. The coroner that done the autopsy said, "Give me some sort of proof that I can investigate. I can investigate, do an autopsy and investigate." So they had taken pictures of his tongue, and it was just covered all the way back to the back of his throat. So they said that's all the grounds they needed. They went and done the autopsy and found it wasn't COVID at all. It was pneumonia. And they reversed everything they had put on the death certificate and everything. But there should be a lawsuit. They're huge, and maybe some criminal charge at that time, because they're not allowed to do that to people and treat them that way. And that's the type of healthcare you're getting.
Yeah, the sad reality is the hospitals are very dangerous places, and then I mean, unless your life is imminently threatened, try to avoid hospitals as much as possible. And I mean that with all sincerity. I'm not being hyperbolic. Uh, it's the third leading cause of death worldwide is iatrogenic or doctor-caused deaths are the third leading causes of death worldwide. And many of those occur in hospitals from medical error, from negligence, complications of staying in hospitals, such as getting pneumonia, blood clots. I always say to people, if they're in hospital, like, take the first opportunity and bolt out of there. Like, the longer you stay there, the higher your risk is going to be.
So we're supposed to be getting a guest on Stefanos, where the child went missing and they were found in the Niagara River with organs missing. That's coming up, folks, soon.
Yeah, there's currently several lawsuits with several entities in court, and they're going to need a medical expert at some point, because what I read today, actually, I was having a conversation with him and looked up the acts that apply to everything, and oh boy, there's some crazy stuff.
Anyways, so that's coming up, guys. You're going to look forward to that in a couple weeks. Guys, we're getting shadow banned like crazy. We're getting repressed like crazy. We don't want the truth getting out. Share this out to groups. Send this out Messenger if you can. Share out the email link. We're also on Rumble and YouTube. You can find those links also in the show. I want to get into what alternative treatments are available in Mexico, Dr.
Sure. So I think we can cover a couple of topics with that question, because it raises two points. One is the whole concept of medical tourism and why it's become so popular, especially among Canadians and Americans traveling to Latin America. And we can talk about the specific places that people are going to. So that's, I think, an important part of answering that question is what's available and why are people turning to medical tourism abroad? And the second is specifically the most popular treatment in medical tourism, and that is regenerative medicine or working with stem cells. stem cell regeneration has become extremely popular because it's very much evidence-based, very, very strong evidence, preclinical and clinical evidence. And we can talk about both those topics if you like it.
Sure, let's get into it.
Okay, so let's talk about like medical tourism to start with. Um, can you see those slides?
Yeah, it's full screen. It's good.
Okay, so let me just advance to medical tourism. Here we go. Okay, so medical tourism has exploded in popularity. Basically, that is people from North America, Canada, and the States predominantly uh, giving up on local care in their own country and going abroad to get those services. So it's now like over $100 billion industry, and in every year, about 14 million patients travel abroad for treatment. 60 to 80% are do it for cost saving, and there are 14 million annual travelers. So that's a very substantial number of people seeking care elsewhere abroad. And the number one, as I mentioned, reason is regenerative medicine or stem cell treatments, and we'll talk about specifically how those work. And Latin America, specifically Mexico, is by far one of the most popular. Excuse me for a moment. And It's because it's proximity. It's close to the states and close to Canada, and it's also very high quality. As I mentioned before, like Mexico is very high quality in terms of their care. Just Tijuana, Puerto Vallarta are two of the most popular areas. Also, Cancun is another one. Panama is another popular one, also significant cost saving. Germany, Thailand, Ukraine, and Israel are the other popular spots. And the reason number 2 and 3 is cosmetic and general surgery. So people coming for both facial cosmetics like rhinoplasty, facelifts, and then breast augmentation, very popular in Colombia, Brazil, and Mexico. Liposuction, BBL, dental veneers. And I should mention, when I was practicing cosmetic surgery in Canada, I could see that people were slipping away, like people were leaving, and the plastic surgery industry was declining significantly in Canada as a result of that. And I had like one lady I knew, she was actually a friend, and she wanted like a tummy tuck, breast augmentation, liposuction, and she ended up going to Brazil. And she was quoted like for the entire procedures, 8,000 Canadian dollars. There's absolutely no way we could do that without significant loss in Canada. So $8,000 in Canada, that combined procedure would cost her about $25,000. So Canadian American physicians like can't compete with those kind of prices. And then people are coming also for just general basic procedures like hip and knee replacement, cardiac bypass, spinal surgery, cancer treatment, bariatric surgery like gastric bypass, gastric sleeve, and even a laparoscopic band procedure. And why did people choose medical tourism? We mentioned cost is a big one. I mentioned an example of that girl, 60, 80% saving versus the States and Europe and Canada. The access, usually people can get in within a month. They can come in and have their treatments. Wait times are very short. The high quality of care, these are highly credentialed. The hospitals, as I mentioned, the Mexican medical system is absolutely outstanding. There's a privacy as well, where they can actually do it very inconspicuously without their friends ever knowing if they want to keep it confidential. And then recovery. Why not recover an all-inclusive resort? And oftentimes these medical tourism are in a package, so people are actually coming in, and the clinics are organizing everything for them, including the chauffeuring from the airport. As soon as they land, they'll take them to the airport. They'll take them to the clinic from the airport. They'll take them back to the airport after their treatment. So they're getting really, really incredible care. And then specifically stem cells. Can I just go ahead, Ed, and talk about stem cells now? Or do you want to take a break?
No, go for it.
Okay.
Just want to address one comment though,
Sure.
if I can. Kathy's asking about teeth implants. I had a implant screw installed in Costa Rica. It was about $800 by US for that. And then you got to wait, I think, 4 to 6 months before you get the crown put on. So I waited a year. I had that done when I was in Argentina, and the crown, and there was another adapter screw that cost. I think that was around $1,200, and I was quoted in Canada $8,000 to $10,000. And I've had no issues. It was a good job. And even going from country to country, there was no problem. The people that did the screw insert in Panama, within a couple hours, they sent all the dimensions of the screw that was installed and all the documentation. I had no problem sharing that with the Argentinian dentist. That was great.
No, that's fantastic, and yeah, dental procedures and specifically cosmetic dental surgery is very popular for medical tourism as well. As well as hair transplant. I'm sure most people have seen the commercials for hair transplant in Turkey. I mean, they can offer that for like 3,000 Canadian, like including the travel and the hotel stay. I mean, it's unfathomable how they can pull that off. In Canada, you'd be getting charged between $15,000 to $20,000 for that same procedure. So,
all right, let's get into stem cells.
We'll do that.
I don't know if just a general overview. People, I don't know if they know what it is.
Yeah, it's going to be basically, so stem cells have been around actually for over 10 years, but in the last 3 to 5 years, they've really gripped in terms of popularity, in terms of success, because we're doing more and more preclinical studies like animal studies and more human studies, really high quality human studies on stem cells showing that they actually are very effective. So the way they work, basically the stem cell, the majority of the time it's harvested from the umbilical cord. So perfectly healthy pregnancies, healthy mother, healthy son. They take the stem cells from the umbilical cord, keep them live, and then most credible clinics have a laboratory and a biologist that looks after the stem cells, and then their stem cells are given in therapy live. So when the stem cells go in through the body, they go through this period where they become a transitional cell called progenitor cell. And then as they divide, they can actually turn into a specialized cell. So they start as a generalized cell, and they actually detect enzymes that are secreted from disease process, such as inflammation, degeneration, injury. And as soon as they detect that enzyme, they basically go to that area and they concentrate on turning into that specialized cell. Like it could be a muscle cell, it could be a nerve cell, could be a bone cell, it could even be like a cardiac cell, a brain cell. And that's how they do the healing. Basically, they literally, you're giving patients like millions of these stem cells. They become specialized and they start to heal that particular disease organ. There's several areas where you can derive the stem cells from the embryo. You can reprogram them synthetically right from the adult themselves. Like you can actually donate your own stem cells. It's not as effective because you're now using like aged or mature stem cells. But the most popular is umbilical cord stem cells because they're like brand new, they're vivacious, they're strong, and they're highly effective. So these are some of the conditions that stem cells can treat. So one type of stem cell called the MUSE, M-U-S-E cell, can cross the blood-brain barrier, and it can treat conditions like ALS, Parkinson's disease, MS, spinal injury. Post-stroke recovery is also another big one. Somebody who's had a stroke, you can actually rebuild the part of the brain that has had deprived oxygen and is scarred and has died, that portion of the brain. It can be treated, it can treat cardiovascular conditions such as post-myocardial infarction, a heart attack. You can actually rebuild that area that's died from the heart attack. And it can also treat heart failure. In fact, we had one patient who was in such severe heart failure, he was on a heart transplant list. And he had 150 million stem cells IV. And his ejection fraction went from 22% to 67%. And just to put that in perspective, like 22% is a complete cardiac cripple. Like he couldn't even take 2 steps without getting short of breath. He was on oxygen. And after one treatment of stem cells, his heart function returned to completely normal. No more failure. And he came off the heart transplant list. Those are the kinds of results that are like very dramatic, but very, very real. Very popular.
Hang on. How long did that take to go from injection?
3 months. So he has a preoperative 2D echocardiogram with ejection fraction just before the stem cell treatment. He was waiting for a heart transplant. A friend of his told him about trying stem cells. He said, why not? While I'm waiting, it could be months. He had him done, and his heart was completely restored to a normal function. So he came off the heart transplant list. This is a very popular area, Ed, Stefano, orthopedic treatment. So again, we're seeing people that are on the wait list for knee replacement, for hip replacement, for fusion of the back, for degenerative disc disease. And they come in and they have stem cells injected into those joints. And the cells regenerate the tissue, can regenerate the disc. They can heal rotator cuff in the shoulder. And many, many times, most often, I would say people end up coming off the surgery because their pain is relieved. Autoimmune, very good for restoring autoimmune conditions, including diabetes, Crohn's disease, lupus. Now, natural killer cells are increasingly used to target cancer, and it's very specific. So unlike chemotherapy, there's no collateral damage because these are natural lymphocytes, natural T cell killer cells. And so that's becoming popular. A lot of people are coming for treatment, either in conjunction with their treatment of chemotherapy or instead of their treatment with chemotherapy. And then also macular degeneration, burns, and wound healing is another area. So I'll get back to you here. And then there's one more topic to cover, and that's the exodus of people from Canada. Why are we seeing the massive exodus? Medical tourism. Most people that do medical tourism, they go back. They come for a week or two, they recover, and they go back to their home country. But we're seeing a whole different trend now where people are exiting, and they're not coming back. Like, they're going one way, and they're not coming back to Canada.
So Linda in the chat is asking, any updates on regrowing teeth? The stem cells connect to this.
Regrowing feet, did you say? Teeth. Oh, yeah. So I'll have to dig a little bit further in that. There's definitely, they can regrow soft tissue like gums. They can regrow bone, and they can regrow teeth. But I have to look at the strength of evidence for that, because some conditions, it's mostly like preclinical or animal studies. We like to see like high quality randomized trials before we can conclude, oh yeah, we definitely see this working for you. So we try to be very selective when people are seeking stem cell treatment, that it's evidence-based, and we're not doing it just to do it.
So people that are, gotta silence that phone.
Yeah, I'm trying.
There's that button on the top left corner.
Okay. Well, I've got my phone off, but it's coming through the laptop.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Cool. What else? Okay, so orthopedics. So Kevin had a orthopedic procedure. Remember Kevin Johnston?
Yeah, of course.
And he had a post-op infection. I told him what was going on. I told him he's got an infection going on because he's got all the symptoms. Yet he went to the Mississauga hospital. They told him he was fine, sent him home. I says, no, you've got a infection. Go back and get another doctor. And sure enough, the second doctor figured out, yeah, he does have an infection. The poor guy's in agony, running a fever, sorts of the touch in the area, swelling, redness. Like, duh. Wow. I'm a roofer. What the hell am I diagnosing you for medical issues?
Wow.
And then another guy I know, he's a year older than me, quite active. He used to do a lot of downhill skiing. He had a knee replacement done. Twice the knee replacement has failed, and now he's got a garbage insert in the knee, and it's clicking and moving around, and the graft never took to the bone. So,
well,
had
here's
you known about stem cell, it'd be worth trying this first.
That's what's happening, is that people are discovering stem cells. Like, so they have a friend go down, they have a relative go down, they have a great result, and then they start telling them, hey, have you considered stem cells instead of getting that knee replaced and having invasive surgery? And that's a lot of the referrals come from that, people doing their own research, and combined with people giving up and mistrusting organized medicine, because they've seen it treats secondary effects. Like if you're on non-steroidal anti-inflammatories, you're on opiates, narcotics for pain, you're not really treating the arthritis. You're treating the secondary effects of that. When you're having stem cells, you're treating the root cause. You're basically, the stem cells are regenerating the meniscus. They're regenerating the bursa, the lining in between the bones, and the synovial fluid is getting restored. So you're getting at the root cause. And people are very smart and educated now. Like we see people seeking stem cells. Like they've done their research. They know the type of stem cell. Oftentimes they know the studies. And sometimes they even come and they have it so well researched that they know the dose that they need. And it's actually very exciting to see that shift in educated patients doing their own research, and then not necessarily asking for the blessing of their family doctor. Oftentimes they know more about stem cells than their own family doctor.
So I saw in the comments here, somebody asked if they can grow teeth with stem cells. I know China's come out and said they can. I know way before China, I believe there was a doctor in Pakistan, and we're talking probably 2008 and around there, that had come out. It was all over the news about that. That they could do it back then, but I don't know if that's and I don't know what it's a different profession, I guess, than what you're doing. I don't know if you know much about that or not.
Well, so we have the advantage now with AI. There's actually a specialty AI that specializes in medical research, and so literally we can find out like an answer to a question like that they grow teeth, like literally within seconds. So I've just done like a literature search on that, and in fact, they can grow teeth. It's an active, exciting area of research, and what is known, we know how it works, and there's actually a clinical trial from Japan in 2023 showing growth of teeth. It is laboratory grown teeth, but it's still not 100% convincing in that we can sort of say, okay, now this is a standard of care. Instead of getting teeth implants, you can have stem cells and regrow your teeth. But the infancy stages of the studies are very promising. And I think we're going to see, Stefanos, in the next few years, that like a lot of the traditional treatments are going to go by the wayside when stem cells start to take over. When we see more and more evidence that, hey, listen, you can use what God has designed already, which is like stem cells, and just infuse millions of them, and you'll get your healing in a way that organized medicine can never accomplish.
So
Yeah, it always the question comes to me of money. Like I said, the one in Pakistan that said he can do it, it's something that he just places on a tooth and it actually rebuilds it. I can't remember what it was, but and it was all over the news like crazy for like a day, and then it went silent and you didn't hear anything. I'm just wondering, is that the industry taking over that? Because that, I know dental is a lot of money, and who knows what if they would even allow it. That's the shocking part. So that's, I guess, my conspiracy theorist side of me, I guess. There you go.
Well, I think, I think anywhere where there's profit, you always have to watch the ethics. That if you're providing that service, that you stay disciplined and make sure that whatever you recommend is ethical, it's based on evidence, and it's not just to make a profit. And like my observation in doing research in stem cell therapy is that credible clinics, they have like ethical standards. They usually have like a research arm of the field. Like for myself, like I like to do like a lot of the research and prepare like studies on various conditions and see what the level and strength of the evidence is, and then present that to say, okay, based on the evidence, yeah, we would strongly recommend stem cells for knee arthritis. But we could also say, well, based on the evidence, we don't have enough information that we can use stem cells for autism of the brain. Like we don't have the data yet. It's promising, theoretically it should work, but we can't say that it's been proven. So I think we have to be very forthright with people and just watch the ethics and make sure that we don't fall into the same trap as Big Pharma.
So how do we find a doctor there to start any procedure?
For stem cells specifically, or
I don't
general?
know. Generally, yeah.
So, I mean, yeah. So, the thing is, I always say if you're searching for a stem cell clinic, be very careful because it's kind of like the Wild West here. Like there's stem cell clinics popping up everywhere, and most of them don't have their own laboratory. So that's the number one criteria: is make sure they have their own lab. So they basically harvest the cells from the donor, and then they keep the cells live and active, and they have a biologist, monitoring the quality of the stem cells. Secondly, you want to make sure that the cells are certified. There's actually a certification regulation system that they go through to make sure that they're high quality and they've met the standards of the regulators. And as far as I know, the regulators in Mexico are not corrupt like in North America, but I don't know the final verdict on that. And like we find, like some clinics are actually American clinics, American-owned clinics. So I think that gives them the extra, potentially the extra level of credibility. Although there's a number of Mexican clinics that are also excellent as well, provide high-quality regenerative medicine.
Do you personally check them out?
Yeah, I do research on them. Like I know, like people ask, and then I will search around, like email and try to help them, like if they're seeking medical tourism. And I know there's a couple that are busy, but their ethical standards are very shady. They try to upsell. They try to sell supplements, like 20 to 30 supplements to each patient. It's just crazy, and it's largely profit driven. So you have to really be mindful of that. That there's still, like any industry, there can be corruption.
So, how can our audience, the members, find you in Puerto Vallarta, New Web, or Proprietary? Are you willing to help people out, or
Yeah,
is this a service
absolutely.
you can provide, or
Yeah, absolutely. So, so you can see if you can put down, Ed, I can text you. People can go on. I actually have a website that features online counseling as well as medical tourism, and they can certainly find me there. It's Doc Talk with Dr. E at gmail.com. I don't know if, let's see if I can.
Can you put it in, type it in the private chat, and I'll turn that into a banner?
Yeah, okay, I'll do that right now.
And there's a WhatsApp phone number, or?
It's
Oh yeah, guys,
Doc.
Mexico, everybody's on WhatsApp.
Yeah, it's huge in Mexico here. Hang on, okay. Okay, I'm gonna send it to you by text. Okay, Ed?
No. Send it in the private chat.
Okay.
Just type in what you want to turn the banner into a private chat.
Where's the private chat on this? On here.
Should be, look along the right side. You'll see it says comments, banners, media.
Yeah, okay, I do see that.
Yeah, you'll see private chat there.
Oh, got it. Okay, yep, okay. Got it. Okay. Yeah, if you could put that up. So Doc Talk with Dr. E. And they actually go on, I do have a website at gmail.com. So this is how people can actually reach me. But if they just put in on the search engine Doc Talk with Dr. E, they'll get my website and I'll have the information there. But to actually contact me, it's Doc Talk with Dr. E.
Yeah, just type it in the private chat.
Yeah, we'll do that right now.
Yes, people, this is live. That's why we have these delays from time to time. Again, share this out if you find any value in this. You might want to send this out to family and friends. Okay, I've got your Doc Talk link, and if you want to put the website.
Yeah. I'll just the link is just the first part of that, and I just put that in a private chat as well. Yeah, I'd be more than happy to talk to anyone and can kind of help them navigate through either medical tourism, or if there is any need for online counseling, I also offer that service as well. Yeah, so definitely very exciting field. It's I call it the medicine of the future. practice today, and we're seeing some outstanding results. Okay, what do you think, Ed? I want to talk about the exodus of Canadians.
There's a lot of them.
Hmm.
So many. And I think it's just going to go more and more. Like, and not just Canadians, business too. Like in Ontario, we got a premier who insults the companies, kicks them out, have made everything unaffordable. Business can't even afford to operate here. So they're leaving in droves, and the only ones that stay are their crony friends and their business, and then the government goes and dishes out millions to them to keep them afloat. We got to pay for it. Why? You're like every other business, go broke or make it.
Yeah, it's very disturbing. And there was actually, I posted today, there's actually a professor of economics that is talking about his hypothesis of the strategy of Mark Carney. He calls it sort of toxic assets. Basically, run down the economy, run down the value of assets, get a majority government, and then eventually run it down to the point where it can just resell it at like 10 cents to a dollar to operatives like China. It's very disturbing. Like, it's obviously intentional. Like when you see suffering Canadians continue to suffer, and you see billions of dollars exported to Ukraine and to Gaza and to all kinds of other countries, and Canadians are ignored and left suffering. There's something that's gone amiss significantly.
Yeah, and even back in when Patrick Brown, we got him elected as party leader. We took him everywhere and made sure he got elected. Now the thing is, he was telling us one thing and doing another. So he, of course, turned traitor. And you see, the PC party's always been hot and heavy and excited to get the resources out of the Ring of Fire. Now we're seeing Ford doing it. And the whole point is, and this is what people in Ontario don't know, is it's China who's going to get those resources out of there. The people in Ontario are going to pay them to take it out. So they're not paying nothing. It doesn't cost them nothing. They're going to take it for nothing. We are going to foot the bill. And then they are going to re-import those minerals and whatever they get out of there back to Ontario, where we're going to pay for it again. This is the craziness that's going on, but that's all part of the UN agenda, that nobody owns resources, everybody owns them, and you can sell them, and this is what we're seeing here. So this is a big no-no. We have borders for a reason. We have different countries for a reason. Let's keep our stuff here, because that's where we make our money.
Okay, let me talk about briefly shareholder capitalist. Shareholder capitalism. These are WEF terms. You've heard them all before. What does it mean? Who is a shareholder capitalist? That's a different way of saying the lobbyists, big corporations that lobby the government to get the changes in legislature or policy that they need to profit. It's not about you and me, guys. Don't think we're the shareholders. No.
Yeah, Ed, don't call it shareholder capitalism.
That's what Klaus Schwab calls it.
That's what they call it. But the real truth is it's called crony capitalism, because capitalism is a good thing. And capitalism is the only way that you can make money on your property. Nobody ever profits from public property. That's called communism. So it's the government who profits there. If Imad has his own private practice on his property, that's how he's going to make money. If the government owns that property, he's not going to make squat. The government's going to take the profit. So you got to know what crony capitalism is and what true capitalism is, because true capitalism always works. Communism and its crony capitalism garbage never does. That's their friends. And like you said, the shareholders, what are they? You said it. So there you go. And that's what happens. It's their buddies. They're stealing the money from us and giving it to them. Where real capitalism, you make the money, the government cries, they get shit.
So
Yeah, it brings up a great point, Stefanos, in that the use of language for deception, and see this a lot. Like you say, shareholder capitalism. Oh, that sounds pretty good. That sounds like a good thing, right? 'Cause they slip in capitalism in there and think, oh, what's wrong with that? But meanwhile, they're talking about something completely different than capitalism. Same with like we see this in medicine all the time when they are doing something unethical, they soften the language. So they don't say you're going to have physician execution, which is what it is. They come in with lethal injections, the same ones used for capital punishment. Patients end up with pulmonary edema and drown to death, but they're so paralyzed they can't tell you that. They don't tell you that. They say it's made and it's done for compassion. It's done for alleviating pain and suffering. So this kind of deception using language is very prevalent in medicine. Same thing with abortion. You don't say, well, you're actually going to go in and dismember your unborn child,
part by part, piece by
part by
piece.
part, grotesque, and you can see that on ultrasound. They say, this is therapeutic abortion. There's nothing therapeutic about it. Like there's no disease process. It's killing an unborn child. But again, language is used very deceptively in medicine to soften up what is an egregious act. That's part of the game they play.
Micromanagement. That's what I always say. The little play on words. That's what.
Yeah, exactly.
So back to the stem cells for a second, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I don't mind at all.
Have you tried stem cell therapy yourself?
I'm going to actually. I have not as yet. But I am putting a budget aside for that because I think given like I'm not young man anymore, and I think regenerative medicine would actually be very, very helpful. And also, you want to, if you're talking about promoting something, doing research for it, I think it gives it extra credibility if you've done it yourself, right?
Yeah, I'm going in tomorrow to get some done, guys. If I grow a third head, you'll know why.
Oh boy, I guess you're not going to get 6 minutes anymore. You might get more.
Yeah,
Be great.
I'm looking forward to it, actually.
Yeah, no, it's you're on the right track. Would you like me to just briefly address the whole issue of why so many Canadians are leaving? Because I think it kind of segues into what we've been talking about with deterioration of healthcare and the political climate regressing into communism.
Well, and don't forget the taxation, losing your savings.
So let's look at the scope of this. Like, I mean, it's quite massive. In 2024, it's estimated that 500,000 Canadians left Canada permanently. So here's the thing. When I was doing the research, Ed Stefanos, I found that Statistics Canada severely underestimated the actual number. They were saying around the range of 150,000 Canadians left in 2025. But in fact, if you look at objective studies, population studies, Exodus, numbers are actually closer to 500,000 and more. And in 2025, Mexico was the number one destination. And again, for proximity, weather, and so forth. And we'll talk about some of the reasons why people are leaving. Top destinations in 2025, Mexico. Number one, it's warm, a relatively low cost of living compared to Canada. There's actually no personal tax. You can go when you go and eat, you're not taxed on anything. You go get your groceries, you don't pay taxes. This must be a private jet, 2-hour flight from Canada. I think it's like closer to 4 hours. This must be in your private jet, Ed, 2-hour flight.
No, I don't know any plane that can do it.
Then you got Portugal.
No, maybe from Vancouver, 2 hours, but
maybe that's what they're referring to. So from Ontario, it's about a 4.5 hour flight. Portugal, popular as well. Costa Rica, very popular, although the cost of living is higher than Mexico. The states are very popular, particularly higher income earners: Florida, Arizona, Texas, and Washington. And then in Europe, Spain and Italy And why are Canadians leaving? Well, we've been talking about the healthcare crisis. ER wait times can be upwards of 18, 20 hours, family doctor shortage, 6 million Canadians without a family doctor. And then the innovative treatments that are evidence-based, like stem cells we've been talking about, are not available in Canada, not readily. And if they're available, like in Canada or the States, they usually end up using smaller doses and frozen stem cells as well. Cost of living is absolutely outrageous in Canada. Housing prices have gone up 400% in the last 20 years. People can barely afford groceries. Taxes are strangulating Canadians. If you're a higher income earner, you pay 53% taxes. Capital gains taxes, they want to do that at 67%. It's like beyond outrageous. Housing unaffordability, even if a young couple, they're both working, average price of a house is between 700,000 to 1.4 million. Rent has gone up significantly, and young families are frankly priced out. Taxes and the bureaucracy. Climate, of course, you got long, brutal winters, particularly if you're living in Northern Ontario or even Barrie area, Snowbelt. You got harsh winters, harsh driving, cold temperatures, rarely see the sun during the winter. So quality of life is quite poor. Unless, if you love snowmobiling and you love freezing and hockey, yeah, you may actually enjoy the winters. And of course, the political direction is a big concern for many people that are awake and critical thinkers. They don't want this complete control by government, the communistic direction that they're going, and frankly, the blatant disregard for the Canadian population, a complete abuse of the people that they're supposed to be serving. And so the future mobile, called Regenerate, Travel, and Freedom, when people leave and they have this massive exodus, a kind of access to the medicine of the future, or stem cell regeneration, medical tourism. Now they can live and have medical care that's even more affordable in a world-class hospital. And generally, the governments leave you alone. Like my observation in Mexico is, you don't see these suffocating laws with free speech and the taxation burden and all the other challenges that go along with living in places like Canada.
So, guys, put in the chat what you're paying for a liter of regular fuel, please. I'm going to blow your mind here in a minute. Just doing a conversion on peso to the Canadian dollar. And price of fuel has not gone up here. It's been 23 to 24 pesos the whole time I've been here for the past month. Let's see some gas prices. What do you guys got? Nothing in the chat yet. Nothing yet. Keep going, Dr. VG.
Yeah, no, I think, kind of wrap things up. I think one of the things I want to ask that maybe is a provocative question for critical thinkers and freedom fighters, if you will, is leaving Canada permanently a wise decision, or is it, as some say and allege, it's cowardly? You're basically escaping, and instead of facing the difficulties in Canada, you're being a coward by leaving. What are your thoughts about that criticism that some people say? I noticed one of the comments said that.
Well, I'm fighting the good fight with a lawsuit against the Pickering Town Council. Once we have this it's all said and done, we'll see what happens, because then I'll have a lot more money available that we can fight other fights legally. But yeah, we got to fight, and I do love Canada. Gave me everything. But I've seen it gone to hell, and there's so many idiots out there that vote freaking liberal. I think that the conservatives are going to make a change. No, look what the Bloc did. They're voting for Bill C9.
Yeah.
So,
yep,
it's one hell of a battle coming, guys.
Well, look, I'll do a different way, where they're calling coward. Well, no, there's a difference between cowardice and stupidity. You got to be completely stupid to stay in a country that's just draining you. They say they estimate about 45% of your paycheck is taken just from taxes. What about the rest of your taxes when you go and buy food, when you go and do whatever else? You're getting taxed to death on everything else. So, is it 45% of your paycheck? No, it's a lot more, way more higher. I'm going to go up and around the 75, 80% of your paycheck, maybe even more, but I'll be conservative on that. And that's the way I look at it. I don't know. You got to be dumb. A lot of people say that because they don't have a means to leave and they're stuck here regardless. Uh, if you're stuck here, what are you going to do about it? You can protest only so much. You can do whatever you want. They're just going to ignore you. And hell, don't worry about it because we already know the liberal government's going to win on a majority. If they don't get the majority before they call a snap election, they will get the money. And how will they win that majority? They're going to promise you the UBI. That's the golden egg to them. The UBI. As soon as they pitch to you, you're going to get 25,000 a year for doing nothing. You're going to see every Tom, Dick, and Harry go for it because when they're on Ontario Works and stuff like that, they're only getting what, anywhere like 10, 11,000 a year. All of a sudden they're getting 25. They're used to living in poverty. They're used to having nothing. Suddenly a 15,000 extra 15,000 a year to them is going to be like, whoa, I'm rich. And they're going to jump all over it. But what they don't see or understand is the fact that where's that money going to come from? Because government doesn't give it out. I'll give you a quick scenario. At one point, I was thinking about running for the leader of the Ontario Libertarian Party. And this was just after COVID. And I was thinking to myself, maybe I should do a compensation for every man, woman, and child in Ontario. And I wanted to give like 30,000 to each one of them. And I was doing the math. That's trillions. There's no way Ontario would be able to do a one-time payout just to make the wrongs that the government done against the people during COVID. So it was a scam, hands down. That's all there is to it. So if you're taking Carnival Carney and their UBI, and they want to go 25,000 for every person in Canada. It's in the trillions just for Ontario at 30,000. So at 25,000, what do we got? 64 million or something in Canada. Maybe it's up more now, but with all the illegals and everything else that have been brought in, there's no way in hell. Like I wouldn't even be able to tell you what that number is. And this is the thing. They use numbers like that. They do stuff like that because the average Joe cannot comprehend that kind of money. Those numbers, it doesn't compute because it's so high. Like I wouldn't even know what to call it. Would billion, trillion, then what? And it's going to be way over the trillions because there's 64 million people, a conservative number, at 25,000. Figure it out. It's going to be insane. So naturally, I wasn't able to go ahead with my plan, and then my plans change. And I'll tell you what, it's not including staying in Canada. Argentina's looking mighty fine.
So I don't know if anyone's heard about this, but in Saudi Arabia, where they have the third largest oil reserves, Canada has the second largest oil reserves, next to Russia, I believe. And Venezuela, yes, they do have large reserves, but it's heavy crude. Anyways, we got a lot of resources here in Canada. In Saudi Arabia, people pay almost no tax. And in fact, they get money from the government for free. They don't have to do anything for it. And they've only got oil. The rest of the country is a desert. We've got resources that coming up the yin yang. Why is standard living so poor? I'll tell you why. Because the gangsters called the government in Canada are stealing it all from us.
Yep.
No one complains about it. No one's bitching about it. No one's suing them. No one's. What's the worst that's going to happen? A pie in the face?
Maybe an egg.
Yeah.
Maybe an egg?
Yeah, they'll just rape, pillage, and rob us blind. Like I say, this is why I always liken government to a criminal organization. The law enforcement are their henchmen. You don't pay that money, you're at gunpoint. And that's the bottom line. You know, and that's what they are doing. Our party says taxation is theft. Prove me wrong. That's all I gotta say. I haven't had anyone prove me wrong yet. No one's been able to prove me wrong on that anything the government touches turns to complete shit. So, you know, they don't take what works and incorporate it. They take what destroys and what benefits them themselves and destroys our lives. Like Ed said, he likes Canada. It gave him a living. But where I'm going to say is what kind of living, what quality of living, what quality of life. You know, it might have been great when we were younger. Quality of life when you're older, especially the seniors in Canada. Now you can't buy properties for investments. We don't even have property rights right now in Canada. So they've been eliminated. We just seen Carnival Carney give all the Vancouver lower mainland, I think it was, to some Musqueam. And what I've been told is they're not even a real First Nations. If they are or not, I don't know. I haven't looked into it, but you know, there's a lot of problems. You can't just take that because it was granted by the royals to whoever was there. There are treaties that keep saying unceded land. There's no unceded land in Canada. These lands were surrendered through treaties, which exist today and continue to exist all through time. And those treaties and patents that make these possible, the wording is forever. So forever hasn't happened yet. So this is you're going to see we're going to be sitting on interveners in the BC case anyways. It's going to be a very interesting ruling, and it's already basically been overturned in another province because they even stated why this case cannot, that ruling cannot exist. And here you go. Here's a real, I'm glad somebody has the brain to ask this. 51st state. So they're not really looking to take over. I know people are going to go about Alberta separating, and you've seen what they're creating, the Western Alliance. That's those couple of provinces together. They've already got their own CPP, all this stuff. You're going to see Alberta's going to go when the Wild Rose Party was in it, almost made it by a hair. There's tons of people. Alberta's separating hands down when the vote comes in October. And I'll tell you right now, the U.S. does not even need to wait. Right now, they can make a legal land claim for all the southern part of Canada, and Russia can actually make a legal land claim for all of northern Canada. So, and nobody will know that because you got to know your history. You got to look at the treaties. There's not just treaties with, all these other countries and just Canada and the monarchy and whatever. There's all sorts of them. All right. Anyways, enough of my rambling. Go ahead, doctor there.
Final comment?
Well, I think, here's the enigma I find. I think the challenges in Canada are very real when you look at everything from declining healthcare to suffocating taxes to corrupt government spending. But also, I think the other factor is the significant part of the population appears to be enabling the government, thinking that everything is just fine, the elbows up group. And so you kind of, if you're looking at assessing various metrics of quality of life, you have to consider both those things. You have a government that's clearly corrupt, that's making things from bad to worse for suffering Canadians, but you also have a large group of the population that votes them in. So I think this is why, the whole exodus is being fueled because I've heard from many friends that have left for Florida and Mexico, and they say it's not just the corrupt government and the oppression of freedom and communism, but it's the Canadians themselves. Like a large group of Canadians are just fine with huge taxes and with crushing truckers and peaceful convoy. Like they're fine with that. They actually support it. So I think that's the challenge. Really, it's twofold. It's the government, but also a significant number of people that are just fine with it. And I kind of use the metaphor of a patient with metastatic cancer. Okay, there comes a point where you say, at this point, unless there's a miracle, uh, there is no cure for the systemic problems that are there. And you add to it the long suffering winters that are cold and snowy, and you come to the point where exiting is not cowardly. Exiting is just a reality based decision that one wants to live their life in a place that's relatively freer, not perfect, freer, and has warmer climate and doesn't have this choking tax burden. And I think that's why we're seeing continued growth in the exodus of Canadians. It's unfortunate to see. I mean, I think a lot of people are very talented. Like you said, professionals. These are business investors, and Canadians and the Canadian government is doing it to themselves. But they don't seem to care. Like that's the problem. Like they don't seem to care. They just carry on as normal.
That's because part of the plan is they have to destroy the economy. When you have a country like Canada that
Yeah.
has every resource, we don't need to import anything from anyone. And
Yeah.
it's all profit. We produce so much gas and oil here, we cannot use it up ourselves. So, and that makes no sense because oil dropped below 100, was it 77, but our gas is skyrocketing. Here's one quick thing before you leave and wrap everything up. What do you think on privatized healthcare in Canada? There was a court ruling in Quebec that says, yes, you can have private healthcare in Quebec. But when BC attempted it, they said, no, you cannot. What do you think about that? Would that be an improvement in Canada or not?
Yeah, I think it would be, Stefanos. I think if you look at the entire world, Canada's still the only country in the world that has a one payer system, socialized medicine. And its quality now in recent studies is number 33 in developed countries. So we're like near the rock bottom for quality, including all metrics like we talked about. We're worse than veterinarian medicine. And people have to come to reality with that. They have to stop when you look at the objective evidence saying that we have the greatest healthcare system in the world. You know what? You're going to be okay if if you got a heart attack and you need immediate care, stents and cardiac. Yeah, you're going to get good care. If you have life or limb threatening problem, yes, you're going to get care and you're not going to have to pay out of pocket for that. It'll be covered. But apart from that, those exceptions, it's in trouble. Canada's healthcare is in trouble, and I think privatization is one of the solutions. But again, the politicians have conditioned the public to think that this is evil. Private. As soon as you mention private, it's all of a sudden it's like evil, right? I think one of the ways to really relieve the pressure on the healthcare system is for the government to fund privately delivered but still taxpayer funded healthcare. For example, when I had a surgery center, a private surgery center, and I went to actually Parliament Hill and spoke to the health committee and proposed this model of private delivery, but still publicly funded. In other words, say like I have a more entrepreneurial spirit and I opened up a private surgery center and I want to, fix your hernia, for example, Stefanos, or I want to remove your gallbladder, Edward. Like if I did that in a private surgery center, I would lose money because they only pay for the procedural fee. They don't cover the nursing, the anesthesia fee, the dressings, whereas they cover that in a hospital. But imagine if now the government funded private delivery, so they take them out of hospital, take all that bureaucracy out of it, but still, cover it with public dollars. That's a model that you could start with. You're getting more efficient delivery, but you're not adding to the financial burden of the patient. and then eventually people should be given a choice. Like, I mean, in every other country, people have a choice if they can afford, to get an MRI the same day. There's no reason why they have to wait 18 months. Like,
And the reason why I'm snickering here, and the other side effect of what you're saying will naturally free up the public side of all these wait times, because the private side can take care of the overload. And I could have swore you were just reading a libertarian platform, because that's our
Well,
healthcare platform.
but you know what happened, Stefanos? When I went, this was back in I'm gonna say about 1999, 2000, somewhere around there. I went there by invitation. There was like high profile politicians there on the committee, and they had great words of encouragement. I said, "This is a great idea. We're going to get right on that. We're going to design a system that." And then nothing happened, right? Like, and I think in part it was because of the word private. Like, they couldn't get over the fact that someone can deliver something privately, but not demand private money from it, but basically say, in order to do this, I need to have these extra expenses covered, or I'm going to lose money. I don't know, either they didn't get it, or they were just too scared of the political risk of the word private in there.
Well, they've demonized privatization
yeah,
so
that's
much, and capitalism. They've demonized that so much, and this is the communists. They hate us. Like, I mean, they hate us through and through. And funny thing is, you can take a great system like you're talking, but you stick a politician into that system, and it'll go to crap real fast, because they're going to make these changes that don't need to be made. Anyways, thanks for answering that stuff. I don't want to keep you on anymore.
Thank you, gentlemen, for the invitation. I really enjoyed that. It was good.
Yeah.
We covered a lot of topics. Good topics.
Thanks for coming on, guys. You find any value in this? I don't make any money off of this, nor does Stefanos. You may get some funding for his consultations. But if you find value in anything we've covered tonight, share it out to friends and family. See you guys next Thursday.
Yes. Take care.